Hi everybody, it's Ron. I wanted to take a moment to give a brief video introduction to the International Environmental Agreements Database, or IEADB, before our meeting next week of the Board of Contributors at ISA. And hopefully some of you will be able to watch this before you come. I'll also be sending a paper in the next day or two, or you should have it already. And I just want to give you a brief tour. I'm going to assume that all of you have taken a moment to look over the IEADB website, and that's what made you willing to generously offer your time to help build it and extend it and go from here. And so I want to show off some of the features and make sure we have a little more common ground so we waste less time when we're together next week. The first is, obviously, you all know how to use these tabs across here. I did add a quick start guide recently, which provides a few little details so you can drill down a little deeper than you might from just the usual tabs. There's the agreement list, which I assume you've looked at. There are country memberships, performance data, a list of secretariats, and of literature. All of these, the content can be developed more, but the structure of the database is set up so that it can be very easily accessed. There's other options on the home page, from commonly researched agreements, some data I've pulled together that shows how they look over time. You can select agreements by date and whether they're bilaterals or multilaterals. And each of these gives you lists of different agreements. So that's just by way of giving you a place to start. Another thing you'll notice is here you won't usually see this unless you're logged in. If you're logged in, different pages may be available for you to edit. Also, if you're logged in, you'll see some of these options up there. As a Board of Contributors, you'll be able to add and change content a bit. So there'll be some options that are available to you up here. I have more because I'm the administrator, but that'll allow you to change things, update things, fix things, add content. One of the things I want to point out is that Jörg and Laurice, his grad student, have added over 500 bilaterals just in the last year. They put them together and they've added those to the database. So it's extended the database a lot in the bilateral area. Jean-Frédéric Morin, a Canadian, is also offered to help actually add the text to those agreements. So we're starting to build this out in ways that is going to really improve its coverage of bilaterals and of multilaterals. We're going to improve some of the quality of the data. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So all of that just makes it a standard website. I hope one of the things we can talk about is what are called relational databases. But there's two things I want to show you. One is the ability to code things quickly so that we can identify treaties. And the other is combining data from different data sets into a single data set that can help facilitate quantitative analysis. So the first one is coding. So what I've done is set up an initial thing that allows us to code treaties based on text in the title. So we set up a thing for what I call fish coding because I've set it up so that it can code whether fisheries deal with whether treaties deal with particular fisheries. And so all it does is allow me to search the treaty name. Later, we're going to build the capability to search treaty text, but for now it just searches treaty name. We're going to look for all the multilaterals, not bilaterals, but multilaterals, where the treaty name contains salmon, and that were added by me as opposed to by Jörg and his student. We search for them and we get 7 hits. These are 7 agreements, and you can see that salmon shows up in all the titles. And so what we can do is we can actually code these in real time. We do it by modifying the entity, selecting these, and saying we want to modify entity values, which is really just speak for we're going to change the cells. And we're going to change the ones for fish and salmon. So we're going to select fish and salmon. We're going to say that these are fish treaties, and in particular, they're salmon treaties. It will change all 7 at once. It asks if you want to confirm. And one of the nice things is it allows me to make sure before it goes public, before the data goes public, so it says that, and right now you see that the same search doesn't turn up anything, and the reason why it doesn't, the results are empty down here, is because all of that content has been unpublished at the moment. So I have to publish it. It allows me to check before it goes public, so that prevents hacking. Publish the content, and now, after it performs its work, we can go back here, do the search again, and now we're going to see that all 7 treaties have now been coded as fisheries treaties and salmon treaties. Previously, I've coded some of these other ones, so now I can just look at all the treaties, all the multilaterals that have been coded as fish, and I can apply it. And then this allows us to see that here are the salmon treaties, but here are some tuna treaties, and there are other ones as well. There's a few halibut treaties, I believe, but perhaps not. I guess there's not any multilaterals that have halibut, but we could check that. So that shows you that you can code it. Now we can go over here to, so that's how you would code treaties. And here is how I want to demonstrate that we can combine treaties in a given, combine data from different data sets. So look carefully at this result, and we've looked for the IEADB 2937, which is the same treaty, the Convention for the Conservation of Salmon in the North Atlantic. At the moment, you can see, wait, well, how come it's not coded here? Well, that's because we haven't updated it, because we just finished coding it. And now it's coded all as fish and as salmon. What I want you to notice is we search for this treaty and we get the name from the treaty data set. It's just a Excel table essentially with the treaty ID and the treaty name and when it was signed and when it entered into force and a bunch of other metadata. There's another table though that contains treaty action data. So when countries sign, the membership actions, like when a country signed, ratified. You can see ratifications down here, entry into force for each country. So the actions a country took under each treaty. So that, while the number of treaties is about 5,000 different treaties or entries in that data set, of which about 1,280 are multilaterals. But obviously, since many of those treaties have been signed by 200 or 300 countries, by 200 countries, and each of those has done 2 or 3 actions, that list is actually about 80,000 records long and includes the country, the signature for each treaty when they signed. So we can see that Canada signed this treaty on March 18th of 1982, whereas Ireland signed it on March 2nd. So that's from a second Excel table, if you will, a second data table. But I also uploaded WDI data where it can pull down GDP data from WDI and population data. It has sulfur emissions from a different table, which is EMEP. I have the whole FAO fisheries database, and so it's entering the actual the salmon catch of North Atlantic salmon in that region. It's entering from the treaty table, whether it's coded as a fish or salmon treaty. And it even includes from another table altogether traits about countries, like what continents it owns. We could also have, it access the polity data set or any data set that any researcher wants to add. Once we've structured it in the right way, we can add that and make these linkages so that you can download a whole data set ready to go. It's already, Canada has been matched across the data sets so that data sets that refer to Russia as the Russian Federation and those that refer to it as Russia and those that refer to it as the Soviet Union, all of that can be brought together into a single data set. So that's really just a place to start, pique your interest a little bit. Hope that gets you interested. I'll look forward to answering any questions you guys have, either on email before the meeting or more likely at the meeting or afterwards. All right, let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.